Today we are focused on name discrepancies for the Arizona Notary Public Exam. This is a critical area because your primary duty is to positively identify the signer. Arizona law, specifically Arizona Revised Statutes, requires you to determine from personal knowledge or satisfactory evidence that the individual appearing before you has the identity they claim. The exam will test your judgment on what constitutes satisfactory evidence. When the name on the ID doesn't perfectly match the name on the document. The key principle is reasonableness. You are not expected to be a fraud detective, but you must use common sense. For example, an exam question might present a scenario where the document lists the signer as Robert V. Jones, but his Arizona driver's license says Robert Vernon Jones. This is a minor and common variation. You can and should proceed with the notarization. Another acceptable variation is a commonly known nickname, like Bill on the document when the ID says William. However, where the exam will try to trap you is with major discrepancies. If the document says Mary Smith and the ID says Jane Garcia, you must refuse the notarization. This is not a minor variation, it's a completely different name, perhaps due to a recent marriage or divorce where the ID hasn't been updated. While that may be the true reason, as a notary, you cannot make that assumption. The signer must provide an ID that reasonably connects them to the name on the document. The exam might also test you on suffixes. If a document says John Doe Jr., but the ID just says John Doe, you must exercise caution. There have been cases of fraud involving family members with the same name. In this situation, you should ask for additional evidence to establish the signer is indeed Junior. A common exam trap involves confusing a notary's discretion with a requirement to refuse. You have the discretion to proceed if the names are substantially similar and you genuinely believe the person is who they claim to be. Refusing to notarize Catherine Smith because her ID says Kathy Smith would likely be marked as an incorrect action on the exam. A helpful mnemonic to remember is, first and last name the same, you're in the game. Totally different, hit the brakes. It's inefficient. This helps you focus on the core identity match of the first and last names. Also, remember that if you have any doubt, you can always ask the signer for an alternative, acceptable form of identification that does match the document, like a valid U.S. passport. If they cannot provide it, you must refuse the service, and crucially for the exam, you should always document the reason for the refusal in your notary journal. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.